Someone asked me last week what my greatest achievement was. My greatest achievement was that I survived 17 involuntary commitments in...
What the voice that once defined a generation, vanished, almost forgotten, came roaring back decades later because of a 15-second TikTok clip. On July 16, 2025, the world lost a beloved musical icon as Connie Francis passed away at the age of 87. Known for her timeless hits and captivating voice, Francis had recently re-entered the spotlight thanks to the viral resurgence of her 1961 hit, Pretty Little Baby, on TikTok, capturing the hearts of a new generation. Her sudden passing from complications related to a pelvic injury and chronic pain has sent shockwaves across the globe, with tributes pouring in from fans, friends, and music lovers of all ages. Just weeks before her death, Connie had expressed excitement about her song's newfound popularity, showing her continued love for music and her fans. Her death not only marks the end of a musical era, but also invites a deeper look into the extraordinary journey of a woman who turned pain into power and melodies into immortality. Connie Francis, born Conchetta Rosa Maria Franco Nero in Newark, New Jersey, rose from humble beginnings to become a global star in the 1950s and 60s. She broke barriers for female artists in a male-dominated industry and sold over 200 million records worldwide. Hits like Who's Sorry Now, Stupid Cupid, and Everybody Somebody's Fool made her a household name, while her fluency in several languages enabled her to connect with international audiences. Her 1959 album, Connie Francis Sings Italian Favorites, celebrated her heritage and became a cultural touchstone for Italian Americans. She was the first woman to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with Everybody's Somebody's Fool in 1960, a landmark achievement that opened doors for future female performers. Yet, behind her soaring voice and public success, Connie's life was marred by heartbreak, trauma, and relentless resilience. In 1974, she suffered a devastating sexual assault in a New York hotel that silenced her voice for years and triggered severe depression. The event halted her career and forced her into a long battle with mental health. Her subsequent nasal surgery, which temporarily robbed her her ability to sing, deepened her struggle. That same decade, her brother George was murdered, another devastating blow. But Connie turned her grief into purpose. She staged a powerful comeback in the 1980s and began using her voice to advocate for mental health awareness and victims' rights, later becoming a spokesperson for Mental Health America and a passionate supporter of veterans suffering from PTSD. Her personal life was equally turbulent. Connie was married 4 times, each ending in disappointment. Her deepest romantic connection was with fellow singer Bobby Darin, a relationship stifled by her controlling father who disapproved and reportedly threatened Darin. Despite her father's heavy-handed interference, Connie cherished the emotional depth of that love, preserving Darin's letters throughout her life. Her relationship with her father, George Franco Nero Sr., who also managed her career, was complex and strained. At one point, he forcibly institutionalized her, causing a 6-year estrangement. Despite this, Connie remained close to her roots and spoke lovingly of her mother and her Italian heritage. Her adopted son, Joseph Garzilli Jr., became her greatest source of comfort and support in her later years. She credited him with giving her the strength to keep going, even during her darkest days. Connie's estate at the time of her death was estimated to be worth $25 million, built on decades of success and smart financial decisions. Her fortune was not just a result of record sales, but also included royalties, licensing, and a significant legal settlement from Howard Johnson's in the 1970s following her assault. She owned valuable memorabilia, like her Vietnam tour jacket and a 13-karat emerald ring, alongside her Florida home, which held a trove of career archives. She also founded Conchetta Records, managing her original recordings and controlling rights that brought in consistent revenue. The TikTok revival of Pretty Little Baby added another surge of income, with over 15 million user-generated videos and more than 10 billion views. The resurgence not only elevated her legacy, but made her one of the few artists to connect authentically across generations, even in her final months. Francis's influence also extended to the literary world. Her memoirs, Who's Sorry Now, 1984, and Among My Souvenirs, 2017, offered unfiltered insights into her trials and triumphs. These books revealed a woman who endured mental illness, abuse, and career setbacks, yet never gave up on the idea that her music could heal others. She often said she didn't sing to become famous, but to connect with people's hearts. That intention resonated deeply, especially with Gen Z listeners who discovered her through digital platforms, reminding the world that true artistry never fades. Her ability to adapt her music to different languages and cultures gave her a global platform that few of her peers matched. She recorded in Italian, Spanish, German, Hebrew, Yiddish, and Japanese, among others. Connie's songs were featured in films, commercials, and even a recent 2025 stage musical, Just in Time, which dramatized her romance with Bobby Darin and reintroduced her story to a new audience. ABBA's Agnetha Faltskog once called Connie's voice the model of sincerity and emotion, a tribute to raw honesty embedded in every note she sang. Despite years of personal tragedy and public scrutiny, Connie always found a way to return to her art. Her 18 initial failed singles would discourage a lesser artist, but she persevered, finding success with Who's Sorry Now on the advice of her father. Her story of perseverance in the face of failure has served as a blueprint for aspiring artists and remains an inspirational tale of determination. Over the years, she consistently donated to causes she cared about, supporting UNICEF, the USO, and mental health initiatives. She often said she wanted to leave behind more than wealth. She wanted to leave something meaningful. That wish appears to be fulfilled. Following her passing, Connie's son Joseph now bears the responsibility of preserving her legacy. Though he has largely stayed out of the public eye, those close to the family believe he is devoted to managing her estate and potentially keeping Conchetta records alive. In interviews, he spoke of his mother not just as a singer, but as a fighter, a woman who never gave up no matter how severe the setbacks. The Italian-American community that once celebrated Connie as a cultural icon held intimate gatherings to remember her. These were not just mourning rituals, but celebrations of the joy she brought into so many lives. Fans worldwide paid tribute through heartfelt social media messages. Fellow artists, including Neil Sedaka, expressed their sorrow, describing her as a friend, mentor, and irreplaceable voice. The grief over her death is palpable, but so is the admiration for her strength. Connie Francis was not just a celebrity. She was a trailblazer who opened doors for women in music, a survivor who turned trauma into advocacy, and a mother who found light even in the darkest times. The TikTok generation may have discovered her through a catchy chorus, but they stayed for the authentic emotion and timeless humanity in her songs. Even in death, her legacy continues to grow. Her music remains popular on streaming platforms. Her memoirs are being eyed for cinematic adaptation, and her advocacy for mental health remains part of her lasting influence. As a woman who once said, "I write so that someone out there might read it and realize they can make it through anything," Connie's life remains a beacon for anyone battling adversity. She taught the world that broken hearts can still sing, and silence can be followed by song. From the glamour of her early fame to the quiet heroism of her later years, Connie Francis' story is one of transformation. She transformed tragedy into strength, hardship into hope, and melody into legacy. Her influence spanned nearly 70 years, making her one of the most enduring voices in pop history. Even now, as her fans grieve, her voice continues to play. On TikTok, in movies, through old records, and in the memories of those who loved her. Connie once said, "Music is how I tell the world I'm still here, no matter how many times life knocks me down." And though she is gone, her music and message endure, louder, stronger, and more vital than ever. Hers is not just the story of a pop star, but of a woman who dared to be vulnerable, who overcame odds again and again, and who used her pain to give others comfort. So now we say goodbye not only to a singer, but to a warrior in sequence, a voice that told the world what it felt like to cry, to fall in love, to hope again. Connie Francis is no longer with us, but her story, her strength, and her sound remain. Her legacy, like her songs, is timeless, forever etched into the heart of music history. As tributes continue pouring from all over the world, it's evident that Connie Francis was more than just a singer from another time. Her influence transcended eras and genres, resonating with audiences for whom she symbolized both nostalgia and timeless relevance. In the age of fleeting internet stardom, Connie's late-life resurgence via TikTok stood out. Not as a gimmick or a fluke, but as proof of her music's enduring emotional authenticity. Pretty Little Baby wasn't simply rediscovered. It was refelt. Teenagers and young adults, many unaware of her original fame, found themselves mesmerized by the sweetness, vulnerability, and sincerity of her voice. This cross-generational embrace is something few artists achieve. It speaks volumes about her ability to touch the human spirit. What makes Connie's story so moving is a contrast between her public success and private suffering. She lived a life marked by contrast, glamour and grief, applause and anguish. Her early career was shaped by an intense work ethic, pressure from her father, and a rigid image of wholesomeness that masked the personal toll fame was taking on her. Still, she endured. Even after traumatic events like her 1974 assault or her brother's brutal murder, she found a way back to music, to audiences, to herself. Her comebacks weren't calculated publicity stunts. They were lifelines. Her reappearances on stage and in the studio were often quiet victories over pain that might have silenced someone less resilient. Her mental health journey added another profound layer to her legacy. At a time when few celebrities spoke openly about psychiatric struggles, Connie took that brave step. She revealed her multiple hospitalizations and misdiagnoses, refusing to let stigma define her. Her advocacy later in life helped normalize conversations around depression, trauma, and recovery. She was no longer just a singer of sorrowful love songs. She became a symbol of survival. By sharing her experiences, she gave hope to others, proving that even those shattered by life could still shine. Beyond the trauma, Connie's unwavering generosity defined her later years. She donated to mental health organizations and championed causes benefiting veterans and victims of violence. In doing so, she reframed her pain as purpose. When she spoke at fundraising events or met with survivors, her fame took a back seat. What mattered most was her empathy. People didn't just admire her. They trusted her because she'd lived through the kind of suffering they knew too well. "If my story helps just one person feel less alone," she once said, "then it was all worth it." Musically, Connie Francis stood at the intersection of pop, traditional vocal performance, and cultural diplomacy. Her recordings in multiple languages weren't just artistic experiments. They were bridges between her and international audiences. She wasn't simply exporting American music abroad. She was honoring global cultures with humility and skill. This helped her amass devoted fan bases in Germany, Italy, Latin America, and beyond. Her Italian language albums in particular were more than bestsellers. They were love letters to her heritage, bringing comfort and pride to immigrant families who saw their own story in hers. Despite these triumphs, Connie always described herself as someone who never really had luck in love. Her multiple marriages, all short-lived, left her with persistent ache. She often referred to Bobby Darin as the one that got away, and friends say she never truly recovered from the heartbreak. Yet, even in this, she found a way to turn pain into poetry. Her ballads became vessels for her real emotions. Songs like Breaking in a Brand New Broken Heart or Many Tears Ago weren't just performances. They were confessions. Listeners sensed that, and it drew them in closer. Throughout her life, Connie straddled eras of music that changed dramatically. She emerged in a time when female artists had little control over their careers. But over time, she seized that control, creating her own record label, owning her masters, and even overseeing licensing deals. These decisions not only empowered her, but set precedents for others. Young artists today who advocate for creative ownership may not realize that Connie Francis helped lay the groundwork decades ago. Her business acumen, often overlooked, was as trailblazing as her voice. In her final years, she remained remarkably connected to the modern world. She adapted to social media, learned how to speak directly to fans through video, and wasn't afraid to express vulnerability online. This authenticity resonated with younger audiences. She wasn't clinging to the past, she was participating in the present, proving that relevance isn't about age, but about heart. Even when her health declined, she continued engaging, sharing memories, encouraging fans to stay hopeful, and reflecting on her legacy with humility. When her son, Joseph Garzilli Jr., takes on the stewardship of her estate, He inherits not just a financial empire, but a spiritual mission. He must decide how to preserve her body of work while ensuring it remains accessible and meaningful for future generations. There's talk of remastered releases, documentaries, and potentially a biopic based on her memoirs. The musical Just in Time may find its way to film or streaming services. Whatever direction her legacy takes, it is certain to include not only her chart-topping hits, but also her story of triumph over unimaginable adversity. The memorabilia left behind, her stage costumes, handwritten lyrics, love letters, and photographs, are not just collector's items. They are pieces of a rich, complicated life that inspired millions. Museums and exhibitions may one day curate them, but the most important thing is how they keep telling her story of beauty, tragedy, survival, and rebirth. For her millions of fans, whether they remember her from Where the Boys Are or from a TikTok trend, Connie Francis represents something rare. A true artist who gave her all to her audience, who dared to be broken in public, and who used her pain as a path toward healing, both for herself and for others. As the world reflects on her passing, one sentiment echoes most clearly. Connie Francis did not simply sing songs. She lived them. Her voice is gone, but her echo remains vibrant and eternal in every verse, every chorus, and every person who ever found comfort in her music. If you felt moved by Connie's story, let us know in the comments which of her songs still lingers in your heart. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because in our next video, we'll uncover the untold rise and fall of another icon who disappeared from fame, but never from memory. Connie once said, "Music is how I tell the world I'm still here." And now, she always will be